deconstruct some of the ways that I did this section. The first thing that we're going to want to do is just kind of turn everything off. Basically, you start with the C-type section there, and you put the background in here. So it was a good idea to lock the background. There we go. All right, so that's usually how a file starts. I went ahead and I filled in the house fill for all of your Photoshop files because I wanted them to be consistent. I go house fill, then I do the sky, then I do trees. So house fill, sky, trees is the order that I always go in. So let's start with the sky. So this is what it looks like when it's done. And here is it with the mask on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this layer and I'm going to get rid of the mask, delete, and so that's usually how it comes in. And here is the sky that is not masked. So what I do is I go to Google and I type in sunset wallpaper. And when you do that, you get a lot of images that are really big, really beautiful, and work really well for your sky backgrounds. And I like these like kind of pinkish kind of California skies. And if you notice too that I have this at 50% and 100 is just way too obnoxious. So I'll put my sky at 50. All right, so from there, let's just go ahead and turn this off for now. And I go to my AutoCAD C section there. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this here, turn off the original, and just keep the section there. Then I'm going to get my brush tool, and I'm going to make the hardness 100, change that pixel to 3. I'm going to go here, and what I'm doing is I'm creating a really nice area that I can just use my magic wand tool. So right now, if I hit my magic wand tool, you could see that it just selects a little bit more than I want. So I want some control, and what I don't want to have to do is create my clipping mask by going like this. Ugh, I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is just really quickly get my brush tool, and I know that there's, oops, so that's normally, so you see how it like zigged like that? What you want to do is you want to hold down shift and put your pen tool right there, hold down shift, or your brush tool, just go all the way to the top really fast like that. Come back to the other side and go up and take it all the way to the top there. Then you want to find a spot up at the top, and then you come there. And that's it. There's your box. Go back to your layers, make sure you're on that layer, hit the magic wand tool, and now I got a perfect area for my sky. I'm going to go back to my sunset, I'm going to turn that layer on, and then while that is selected, I'm going to hit the mask tool, add layer mask, and there we go. And now I'm masked. And you could turn your regular AutoCAD line work on and turn that one off. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I always start with the trees. So I have 2 Arbutus marinas. If you'll notice, that is a beautiful clipping of a tree. Yes, I am that psychotic, and I use the pen tool, and I will clip out all of the things in there. However, you don't have to do that all the time, and I'll show you a trick for that. So you clip out your trees, go ahead and put them in there, and if you look, that's at 80% opacity. And I play with the opacities all the time. Now, the next tree that we have is like an existing, if it's a Platanus racemosa, I don't think that it is, but I found it online. It said platinous, and it's not really important to my planting plan, but I do want to show a background of a tree there. So I click on that. I'm going to go ahead and put this at 100% because I want to show you guys something. So I put it at 100%. Oh, it's at, yeah, and then put it at normal. So you see how there's like this white background? So if you find a tree and it has a white background, you could clip out any text or anything else that's associated with it, right? Put it where you want, change it from normal to multiply, and that white background like just disappears. Of course, this gets like a funky color and stuff, so you would lose the properties that you have in the arbutus. But for a background tree, or if you want to like just go super fast, go for it. Change that opacity to 20%. Boom, you're done. You don't have to worry about anything more than that. And I have some agaves in front of it. I like to put property lines in my sections. All right, so let's go to the car. So the car is a Hyundai SUV. So you want to pick a car that's appropriate, right? Like you don't want in your sections to put a Lamborghini. However, I have done sections and design work in Dubai, and actually it was very appropriate to put a Ferrari or a McLaren or something like that. And the reason why I picked this Hyundai too is because Hyundai offers PNG cutout images of their car anyway, and I want to move fast to reduce my billable hours, so I just grabbed that. And of course I have a mask. And yeah, you can see how these agaves here have very heavily different opacities and layers, so it looks like it's disappearing. And then of course the Senecio. I wanted this to be Senecio radicans, but I just found some weird Senecio fake plant online. I should probably drop the opacity of that. I could tell already that is. Let's rename it Senecio, and let's drop that opacity to like 90. Dropping the opacity, it makes it look a lot more natural because it just kind of blends in with each other. It also fixes a lot of Photoshop mistakes. So you can see different opacity levels here. So the closer it is to you, 100% opacity, and then the farther back, like this Toyon, is a 50% opacity. And you could keep playing with that as well. And then this wall for concrete, I used a terrazzo, because you could use concrete, but I don't know. I think this looks cooler, and it also kind of looks like a hatch, like an AutoCAD hatch of concrete as well. And it just makes it look a little bit better. And then this is a really out of scale succulent bowl, but it works. It kind of looks like it would work, and I want it to be fast, and so I just masked the bottom here and here and dropped the opacity, and it works like that. Okay, so let's talk entourage. So the first entourage is I'll talk about the people, and then I'll talk about the birds. So for people, white, and then drop the opacity at 80%. I feel like this solves a lot of problems. One, the entourage, that the tools that you have opens up so much more, because you could just easily clip out a person, mask them with white, trim it out, and problem solve. And I also feel like it doesn't compete with the rest of your section at all. Now some people will make the person black and then drop the opacity on that. The problem with that for me is it kind of looks a little bit muddy, and I just don't like that look for me, but also I'm very particular, so I just kind of work with that. But just find your own style, and I'm sure it'll make it work. So yeah, that's just an opacity drop. For the birds, I did something a little bit different. You could pick whatever bird that you want. I picked the ravens, and you see here where I picked the soft light. What I did was I started out with normal, And I didn't want to just drop the opacity. I thought, well, let me look at some things. So I hit darken, that didn't work. And then the cool thing is Photoshop will, in real time, adjust to whatever that drop down is. I put soft light. I didn't have to change the opacity. It's still at 100%. I thought that looked great, and so I kept it as such. And then I kept these birds more real and animated. And then this bird bath, the bird layer folder is at 75%. But let's bump those up to 100. Usually I don't do that, but I think in this case maybe those birds will pop a little bit more in the sections. Layer here called mask below the section cut, and you could tell when it's off how messy it is subsurface of the section cut line. And the reason why I do this is just it allows me to work a lot faster. And so what you want to do is you want to go ahead and do the same technique that you did for the sky. You could probably do it at the same time to save you a little bit of time, but you go to your AutoCAD file there, hit plus, and then what you're going to want to do is get your brush tool, make sure it's like at probably around 3, make sure the hardness is at 100, hit new layer, put call it mask below section cut, hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and take that to the top of everything because I know I want it to mask a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to turn off the old mask. Let's go back to our AutoCAD line. That's a copy, remember, because you don't want to mess it up. And just draw a line. You could go down. Make sure you hold down Shift when you go down. And then make another line that goes straight across. Now, this is like an old school mask. This is more, actually, let's just call it what it is. And let's call this one electronic whiteout. Electronic whiteout. Because you're actually not creating a mask. You're covering it with an opacity of white. All right. So I'm going to go back down here, click on there, get my magic wand tool, go here, my electronic whiteout below section. I'm going to go edit, fill. I'm going to put white. Let me zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to hit OK, and there you go. It all just disappears. Just like your sadness and emotions, you just tuck it in and hide it away so nobody can see it. Keep it deep inside. And it'll never come out, I promise you. Just pretend it doesn't exist. There we go. And the cool thing about that is if we grab this Lamandra, right, see how it kind of looks like a big circle, and then you take it down. Oh, look, now it looks like a section plan, right? And anything that you go, you could kind of just play with the grade like that, and it automatically disappears. It stops you from having to do a lot of trimming